Welcome back, race fans, to Off the Track podcast where you get the dirt. I'm Levi Ray Gotze, and we're here at Blue Chip Technologies Racing Engines. We are a high-performance race engine shop located right here in Heltonville, Indiana, and today we have on the show joining with us Trent Bailey. Glad you could make it out, Trent.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
It was short notice.
Very last minute.
Yes, it was, and we appreciate you stopping by.
No problem. No problem.
It's always good to get a driver in here and kind of get his story on how he got his start behind the wheel. We know you've got family in the sport. I know that it was probably pretty easy for you to make that decision to get a car as soon as the chance come available. Your dad, he's a heck of a nice guy. Every time I talk to him, I can see how passionate he is for the sport. And so really, we just wanted to kind of get an idea of when you got started and kind of how you got so interested in driving.
Like you said, it's a family sport. It goes all the way back to, my great uncle's racing back in the 50s at Brownstown. For me, it actually started, I don't remember the year. My cousin Justin Hobson started racing.
Okay.
And Dad started helping him because my dad helped Denny and his brothers.
Right.
So that's where it kind of all began. And then as I got older and, started driving, Jared didn't have any help. So I went out and one day and just started helping him, and rest is history. And had an opportunity to buy his car from him back in 2017 and built it all up in 2018. And then started driving last year.
So 2019 was your actual first season then? Okay.
Yep.
So you decided to go with the crate division.
Yeah, I think just the money spent. I mean, it's the best.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's understandable. It's an expensive hobby.
I say, don't get me wrong, it's all expensive.
Right.
But for where we were, it was the best route.
Right. Well, and you guys had a pretty good idea of how to set the cars up.
Yeah, I actually bought Jared's car, so
yeah,
I knew that car like the back of my hand. So
right,
it was the best thing for us.
Well, helping him throughout all the years and knowing what you're getting, that had to make it a pretty easy decision on purchasing the car straight from him.
Yep.
At least you knew what you had, and to go to the crate division, having Jared there for the support as far as car setup and just going to him, bouncing ideas off of him.
The biggest thing he's helped me with was just driving, because I'd never driven anything before, so I had no idea what to expect. And he would tell me what to do, and I would do my best to do it. And 99.9% of the time, it worked.
It worked out. Well, from what I've heard, it sounds like you had a pretty good year. I don't know for sure how many shows you were able to get in.
We raced every single Indiana late model race, so we only missed 2 or 3, and they were the bigger shows like the Bowman race and the fair race, so that brought in a lot of competition. So for our first year, we're not hanging our heads at all.
Well, that's good. So what would you have to say made you choose your car number?
My uncle BD, Dad's brother, he raced 23, and Justin raced 23, so it was just, we might as well stick with it.
Well, I knew you was just one digit off from Jared, so I wasn't sure exactly what the story was.
No, it was mostly them.
Right.
Yep.
So was Brownstown your first track that you were actually racing on, or did you guys start somewhere else?
No, we stuck with Brownstown this year, just as many times as we've been there throughout the years helping. It was more comfortable and more of a mind game for me to go around Brownstown first.
Well, to be able to get dialed in at that track, it'd have to be a good confidence booster going somewhere else.
Right.
You hear it time after time. If you can run well at Brownstown, you can go anywhere and run well. So I'm sure you guys are doing the right thing, getting the seat time and the laps in at that track. They always put on a good show and always have the track up to par. It seems like every once in a while there might be a hole here or a rut somewhere, but
just adds character.
Yeah, it makes it a little challenging sometimes, but for the most part, the track's always really racy. And so, is that the only track that you were actually racing at then throughout the whole 2019 season, or did you guys venture off anywhere else?
No, that was the only track we went to. Okay. Since we followed the points, we were going to go to Scottsburg, but they rained down on that Sunday race, so it just ended up being Brownstown the whole year.
So, do you guys have any plans to try to travel to any other tracks for 2020?
If everything lines up, we plan on venturing out a little bit more. I know there's 2 races at Terre Haute on the schedule for the Indiana Late Model Series, and I think we're back at Scottsburg again, but not for sure.
Okay.
So,
well, I'm sure to be able to have the opportunity to go hit a half mile, that'll be exciting for you because, that's a whole different animal. And I know Jared's ran there, and a lot of drivers in our area go there, and that place is fun. It's fast, and we've always enjoyed it. We hit it a few times in 2019, but before that, it had been years since I'd been up there,
right.
And we've always really enjoyed that place. So, who would you have to say is your biggest supporter?
I'd have to say my mom and dad.
Yeah.
They put in a lot of time and money.
Right.
But it's all a family ordeal, so I have to say them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, talking with Jared, you can tell your mom and dad were behind him a lot, yourself included. He mentioned how dedicated you guys all were and how fun it was to go as a family to race every weekend that you guys could go. You guys were packing up and taking off, and I could really tell how happy he was to see you be able to get seat time, get behind the wheel, and get to have the funner side of it, I guess.
Right.
You could definitely tell he was extremely excited knowing that you were getting ready to kind of have a little bit more seat time underneath your belt going into 2020, and I'm sure he'll be there for you guys too. It's got to be helpful having him for advice.
It is. Actually, with the last race of the year, we finally parked next to each other.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we raced together last year, but we never just parked together. I don't know why. And we finally parked together the last race, and it was a lot of fun. It brought back a lot of memories.
Right.
Helping him and.
Yeah, that makes it nice whenever you can actually get there on time, save a spot. The tracks that allow you to do that, it means a lot because there are a lot of families that like to be pitted right next to one another and grill out. You get there early enough, or one guy needs a little more help than the other. You can all be there to help one another, and it makes a big difference.
That my brother-in-law races too, so he usually parks with us, and it's cool having my niece and nephew and sister around.
Right.
My mom and papa are there to watch the kids while everything's going on.
Well, that's what it's all about. The kids, they grow up around it. I know you were at the track at a young age, right? And I know Jared was.
Yep.
I know I was. But the little kids that are sitting there on the outside of the fence watching the drivers. And
that's the future.
Exactly.
That is the future.
Yeah, that's right. So for them to be able to go and watch their hero, and it's always a lot of fun watching kids that are just covered in dirt at the end of the night. I know my kids, when they were really young, we'd drag them around a few places, and it was always funny watching them whenever you dropped them in the bathtub, and it was just like a dirt bomb,
Yep.
So who all helps you guys out on the car as far as helping the shop through the weekly maintenance program?
It's just me,
just you and your dad?
Yeah, me, Dad, and my fiance Maria.
Yeah.
And Mom will fix some dinners every now and then and bring it down to us. So
right.
Yeah, it's all a family ordeal.
That's good. That's great. So when are you guys getting married?
November 7th this year.
November 7th.
Yep.
So just after race season. There you go.
Yep. That was my number one.
Yeah.
My number one need, if you will.
Right.
After racing season.
Yeah. It's tough to get the race car drivers to the weddings whenever it's on a Saturday.
Right.
It's always funny whenever someone's sending out wedding invitations to race car drivers. And
she loves racing more than I do. We actually met at Brownstown, so at the racetrack. So she's in it more than I am.
Well, that's cool. So did she come from a racing background as far as her family?
Or her dad used to race.
Okay.
Her step uncle was Greg Amick.
Yeah.
So and her step cousin's
I believe he ran modifieds.
Yep. His step cousin is Colton Sullivan, which we had the Rookie of the Year battle last year. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I believe Colton ran Super Stocks there for a little while.
Yep.
And he seemed like he done really well in that division. So I'm sure running against him had to be a blast.
Oh yeah.
So what do you guys generally do on maintenance as far as through the week? Just hit it after work, you and your old man out there? And
we usually try to wash on Sundays, let it dry overnight, and then just your normal nut bolt check.
Right.
Check for cracks.
Yep.
Anything, grease.
All the normal stuff. Yeah. It takes a lot to keep these things going.
It does.
You know, some people don't realize they look at it like it's, just all fun and games, and sometimes they don't know how much you're beating your head off of it.
Saturdays are the time to relax. You ain't got to worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be a whole nother job.
Oh, yeah.
You can put 30, 40 hours in a week on a car easily. And that's if there is just a few of you.
Right.
Some teams are lucky enough to have 4 or 5 people working on the cars around the clock, and others aren't.
Right.
But when it's family and you get to enjoy it like that, that's when you're making memories.
Right.
And that's what makes it really fun.
It's a hobby for us. It's definitely a hobby.
Yeah.
It's not a job. As soon as it starts feeling like a job, then you need to step away.
Right.
Because you're not having fun.
Yeah. If you're not having fun, definitely need to go fishing or do something a little cheaper.
Sell it and buy a boat.
So what would you have to say in your first race season in the crate division being your most memorable race, like whether that be a best finish or maybe someone you ran against door to door for a while? Or
I just have to say the first time I seen the checker flag.
Yeah.
I mean, just finishing a race was cool because coming from not driving anything to finishing your first feature, you realize how far you really come.
Right. Yeah, it takes a lot just to make a show.
Yep.
And once you make it, it's not over until you see that checkered flag.
Right.
So I can understand where you're coming from on that. You work so hard through the week to get the car to the track, and then you mentally prepare yourself and hoping that you got the car dialed in. And you never know, you're going to either go out there in one of those heat races that's completely stacked, or you might get it lucky enough to kind of catch one of the odd ones, and you try to work your way in the show without having to run a B main, and sometimes you're fortunate enough to pull that off, sometimes you're not.
Yep.
But to be able to make a show at Brownstown and finish is sometimes that's a chore all by itself.
It is.
It's talking to different drivers and realizing how hard it is just at that track.
Mm-hmm.
So with you only focusing there, your first season, that's going to be huge for you, I'm sure. Hopefully you can get the chance to make that Terre Haute show or 2 shows, I guess, and then Scottsburg. It's a shame they can't run more often than they do, really, but it's good that they're able to run the fair nights and stuff like that. I know we've been there a few times, but it's been years back. So what would you say, looking back over last season, was one of the worst nights you had? Anything bad happen?
I would say the night Steve Peden and Isaac Rainey got into it running like 3rd or 4th, and we had just taken a restart, and everybody was balls to the wall, and next thing I know, cars are facing each other, and
everybody's piled up in the corner.
I looked up, and I seen Colton looking at me dead nuts in the eyes, and I just locked him up, and that was probably the worst night.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have those, aren't you?
It's part of it.
It is. You got to try to keep your head up, go back home, regroup, repair whatever damage you have, and go back and just keep working.
Yep.
It's struggling sometimes whenever you go out and have a bad night. I know I've had my share of them.
Yeah, it's very humbling.
Anyone that does it realizes, you just got to keep going. And it takes a lot because it's easy to get discouraged when you have a bad night or you don't make the show and you're going home and the other 20 cars are out there getting ready to take the green flag and you're pulling out with your tail between your legs.
Yeah.
So, who would you have to say in the crate division is your favorite competitor?
Favorite competitor? I've never been asked this question. I'd have to say Marty.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's got a billion laps to his name.
Yeah.
So, actually, I'm going to say I had the privilege to follow him in a heat race.
There you go.
The very last race. And just watching him and the way he can control a car.
Yeah.
You learn a lot just from watching Marty.
Right. Yeah, he makes it look really easy. And, of course, all the O'Neills are tough. And us being all right here around Brownstown, being most of our home track, it's nice to watch them guys anytime they're behind the wheel. And to be able to even compete against someone like him, I'm sure it was fun. And you probably had more fun following him those laps than you did all year. That's cool. So, I guess here's one that we were asking the other night. What's your favorite track food?
Favorite track food? Used to be chicken sandwiches.
Yeah.
But I just have to stick with the cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger.
Yep.
Yeah. I like the fries everywhere I go.
Yep.
I know it's funny.
I guess it depends on the track.
Yeah.
Eldora, you got to get the pizza burger.
Pizza burger. I've heard so much about the pizza burger. Still not tried it. I guess it's because every time I eat pizza, I get heartburn like crazy. That was the conversation I was having with you when Jared was in. Yeah, I had pepperoni sub sandwich.
Just bring your Tums and eat it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, my daughter, she was always really funny. We'd be getting the car ready, and a lot of times you'd be trying to figure out which track to go to on a Saturday, and she'd be like, always wanting to go to Paragon. And I was like, why is, she's young. Why does she want to go to Paragon? And it was because of their fries. And I didn't realize the whole time she was sitting up in the grandstands with my wife that she was getting, 2 or 3 things of fries that evening. So it was always funny whenever it would be time to figure out where we were going, and she had to put her 2 cents in. That's another part of making them memories, though. You'll never forget stuff like that. Well, so one question is the farthest distance you've traveled to go racing, but what's the farthest you've ever went to watch?
I'd say the last year I was with Jared, we packed up and went to Pontoon Beach, Illinois.
Yeah.
I think that's the farthest.
Pretty good time.
It is a great time.
Yeah.
I love that track over there, and he does too.
Yeah.
Yep.
He goes on a lot about it.
He does.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, you guys definitely have traveled a lot of miles together, getting out on the road like that, and I'm sure it'll be exciting whenever you guys are able to get your car out and hit some different tracks. So did you you ended up running for points this year? I'm not sure how you finished.
Ended up 11th.
11th?
Yep.
That's pretty good for your first year. It's to me, points can be they'll really get you, and it's so being your first year running for points, I'm assuming you're planning on going back at it again next season.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
We're just going to race, so we're not going to focus on the points.
Yeah.
We come in Sunday and they already had the results up, and I would hurry up and do the points before it actually came out on the website, and no more of that this year. We're just going to race.
Well, there you go. Yep. It's easy to say that.
It is. It's very easy.
But then, you go out the first night and you have a good night and you're watching them, and then you kind of get suckered in. Yeah, a lot of guys, you hear them say, we're not doing the points, and then 3 or 4 shows in, they're dedicated. Yep. They ain't going anywhere.
Right.
But I know for me, points has always been hard to chase after it, whether it be work related or just having bad luck, really. It don't take much to throw you off, and before you know it, you're so far back. Yep. It's like, I used to watch my dad do it, and which he was pretty fortunate to run well and win a lot of track championships. And it's one thing I've never got is a track championship. So my hat's off to any driver that's able to pull that off. So what about if you get out in the car, would you rather have a real loose car or a real tight car?
I'm thinking tight.
Yeah.
I'm still fresh, so I really don't know.
Yeah.
But on the tight, I'd rather have it on the tighter side.
Tight side. There you go. So when you're at the track, and I know you said you and Jared sometimes might not be able to pit next to each other. Is there anyone else that you go to for advice as far as setup or, just
not much on setup, but I'd bounce a lot of ideas off Isaac, driving wise and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, he seems like he's done pretty well for himself in the late model division, and
he's came from my boat too. He never drove anything and jumped right into late model, so it's nice to have some sort of comparison there.
Right. Well, he seems like he's always done well from what anytime I've watched, and it seemed like towards the end of last season, we were pitted next to them guys, and one of his guys that helps him, we go way back, and he was acting like Isaac was probably going to get out of it this coming season, but I'm pretty sure I just seen his car.
Yeah, he's got a brand new one, I believe.
Well, that's good.
Yep.
That's good. I know anytime you hear about a driver getting out of it,
that's not good.
Yeah, everybody's always like, well, crap, I hate to hear that, but you never know what people have going on and what their thoughts are. But, well, that's good news to hear he's still going to be out for this season, and look forward to watching him. And one of his boys goes to school with one of my kids, I believe, and they're always talking about racing stuff. You know how that is.
Keeps them out of trouble.
Right. Yeah, that right there is a good point. A lot of people look at the money spent in this sport as far as whether it's a hobby or some of the guys do it as far as more of a, not really a living, but a higher skill set of racing. But it does. It keeps younger folks out of trouble. I know myself, being around race cars all those years, it's hard telling what I would have been out doing. But
same here.
It really brings the family in, and anybody that gets to go, as far as the fans, even you watch the stands just packed with kids and younger generation kids, and whenever a family's at the dirt track, they're there as a family having a good time, and that's what I've always thought was great about the sport, is how many people are just diehard dedicated fans that show up each and every weekend to all these tracks.
Yep.
We're very fortunate to have so many good tracks around us. And, you got Bloomington Speedway coming back out with a good schedule this year. That's great. Spiker's going to be running 3 tracks now. That's awesome. Anybody that can do that, that's crazy.
Yeah, he's sticking his neck out.
Yeah, he is. And hopefully with enough help and enough support, they're able to pull off everything that they're set out to do for this season. And then you got, Hobstadt. I mean, that's not too far away from us.
Nope.
Twin Cities. I mean, it seems like they're really
doing a really good schedule this year.
Yeah, you guys plan on running over there any? Or?
No.
Just sticking to Brownstown.
We might venture down to Florence or Richmond or something.
There you go.
Just to change it up.
Well, hopefully you get on some of them half miles. I know I always enjoy them. I've still yet never made it to Florence. I've watched a lot of videos, and Jared got a win down there last season.
Jared got a win. That was kind of bittersweet because it was the first win I wasn't there with him.
Oh, yeah?
So,
okay.
But we've always had a lot of success in the modified.
Yeah.
Even in the late model, we won a couple of heat races and ran top 5 down there.
Yeah. They got pretty tough competition,
They do.
too.
They do.
Everybody always goes on about Brownstown's competition, but, really competition stiff pretty well everywhere you go. You got those local guys that just dominate at that track time after time.
Those local guys come to Brownstown and we whip their butts.
Right.
Sometimes we go down there and they whip our butts.
Roles get reversed. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, that's very true. You watch some of these drivers that can completely dominate at their local track, and then which Brownstown's always been known for the track that can be very difficult to get your setup right and perform well. Even whenever you think that you've got everything lined out just right, and then you go out there, and a lot of times I feel like I look like a fool when I have a bad night, and it's it can change so much so quick. You can go out and heat race and feel like you got something to work with, and turn right around, go out in the feature, and be out to lunch.
Can't go backwards fast enough.
No, exactly. So, who all do you guys have on board for sponsors this season?
Yeah, so we got Texagon Cutstone and Bedford Limestone Suppliers. Tevin Norman, he's done tremendous amount of stuff for me.
Yeah.
In our race team. New this year is Even Automation, Paul Spreen, out of Bloomington. We got McIntyre Brothers Electrical, Stacy at New Roots, Travis Kern Racing Engines, R&L Media Relations, Bluebird Cafe in Valonia, and Printworks. Yep.
Well, that's a pretty good list.
Yep, we're pretty blessed with the support we have.
That's good. It takes a lot of support.
It does.
It really does. And really, it's as a kid growing up watching these cars get pulled to the track and seeing those logos, they just stick in your head, even as a child.
Yep.
And the support you get from your sponsors, they sometimes might not realize how much their name is getting seen at the track. And not only, as a kid in our age, looking back, we didn't have social media like there is now. So it's a lot easier for the drivers to be able to keep that focus on those sponsors.
Right.
And I believe the Texas Cutstone,
Texagon.
Texagon.
Yep.
Yeah, that they do some amazing stuff, don't they?
They really do. They were actually out in New York a couple weeks ago looking at their stuff, and it's just tremendous what they can do.
Yeah. I believe they've sponsored Aubrey Egan as well.
Yep, they sponsored Aubrey, Jerry Davis. They sponsored Jared before.
Yeah.
And Jared Decker.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I knew the name sounded familiar, and I believe I've seen some stuff on Facebook, and it looks like they always do great stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty good list of sponsors. Really, it's tough to get out there and do the work to walk in, and it's not that you're asking for money; it's that you're just asking for the support.
Right.
And in return, it works out good for the businesses.
It does.
And right now is a good chance for anybody out there that would like to jump on board with you for 2020.
Of course.
What's the easiest way for them to reach out to you?
They can get a hold of me on Facebook. Yep. Trent Bailey Motorsports on Facebook.
Trent Bailey Motorsports.
Yep.
Okay. Well, there you go. Anybody that wants to get their name on the side of a good-looking late model this season, be sure and reach out to Trent and the whole crew. Hopefully you guys have a good season this coming year, and definitely look forward to seeing you at the track.
Oh, yeah.
So that really wraps up all my questions. We kind of went through them rather fast. I think just getting you here on the spot, and we had a guy that couldn't make it out this evening, and it just worked out that way. We were able to get a hold of you, and was really glad that you were able to swing by the shop and check the place out. And it was very short notice. I mean, I think you got off work like 4 o'clock.
Left work at 4 and was here at 4:30.
Yeah.
So
did you get stuck by the wreck?
I did.
Yeah.
I had to turn back around.
One of the guys called, and they were like, "There's a car turned upside down. I think he'll be a little bit late." Well, that pretty well concludes this episode of Off the Track. We appreciate you coming out.
Appreciate you guys.
And look forward to seeing you out there this season. Hopefully you guys have a good, safe summer.
We will.
And we appreciate everyone tuning in to Off the Track Podcast. If you haven't already, be sure and like us on Facebook. We also have our website, bluechiptech.net. You can always get a hold of us at 812-807-7050 for all your engine needs. We appreciate you tuning in tonight. Everyone have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.